Mick, Bohn and Matt Erickson, July 7, 2019, 4:45 p.m. Also see, Sean Shelby's shoes, what's next for UFC 239's losing fighters? After every event, fans wonder whom the winners will be matched up with next. With another night of UFC action in the rearview mirror, it's time to look forward, put on a pair of Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard's shoes, and play UFC matchmaker for UFC 239's key winning fighters. Those included Jon Jones, 25-1 MMA, 19-1 UFC, who defended his light heavyweight title against Thiago Santos, 21-7 MMA, 13-6 UFC, in the pay-per-view headliner at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, as well as Amanda Nunes, 18-4 MMA, 11-1 UFC, who knocked out Holly Holm, 13-4 MMA, 5-5 UFC, to retain her women's strawweight strap. In addition, Jorge Masvidal, 34-13 MMA, 11-6 UFC, Jan Blachowicz, 24-8 MMA, 7-5 UFC, and Michael Chiesa, 16-4 MMA, 9-4 UFC, all earned victories that should set up significant future opportunities. Michael Chiesa should fight Neil Magny. Why they should fight? Chiesa remained unbeaten since moving up to welterweight, when he schooled Octagon legend Diego Sanchez for 3 rounds to take a lopsided unanimous decision in the main card opener. After putting himself through torture to fight at lightweight, Chiesa finally opted to move up to 170 pounds in December, and the results have been immediate. His size and grappling ability make him an intriguing player in heat division. Chiesa said post-fight that anything less than ranked opponent would be unacceptable next. UFC should oblige with a matchup against Magny, 21-7 MMA, 14-6 UFC, who Chiesa was originally hoping to fight before the veteran was sidelined with a potential U.S. anti-doping agency, USADA, issue. That happened much earlier this year, though, and with the assumption there was no intentional wrongdoing. The hope is to see Magny back in action this year. Jan Blachowicz should fight Dominic Reyes. Why they should fight? Blachowicz voices his desire for a light heavyweight title shot after his brutal knockout of Luke Rockhold, and with 5 wins in his past 6 fights, there's a decent argument there. Unfortunately for the Polish fighter, the timing is all wrong. 205-pound King Jones just fought consecutive bouts against lesser-known foes, and there seems to be a greater hunger around the champ pursuing a marquee fight rather than picking off another challenger who would come in as a massive underdog. Blachowicz is missing one more key win from his resume to put him over the hump, and if he can go out and get that, he'll find himself in a very good position. Put him in there against an undefeated rising contender like Reyes, 11-0 MMA, 5-0 UFC, and see who can stake their claim at fighting for the belt. Jorge Masvidal should fight the welterweight champion. Why they should fight? Whether Masvidal is next for UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman, 15-1 MMA, 10-0 UFC, or someone else, like Colby Covington, gets the shot first. Game bred, absolutely, positively, undeniably has to fight for UFC gold next. Even if it requires sitting out for a while, Masvidal needs his title shot after blitzing through Ben Askren in 5 shocking seconds with a flying knee knockout. It just has to happen. Masvidal will never be hotter than he is right now after brutal back-to-back finishes of Askren and Darren Till, and the UFC would be wise to capitalize on that momentum. Fan interest around Masvidal is at a high, and parlaying that into a title fight against whoever has the belt at that time is simply a logical move. Amanda Nunes should fight Chris Cyborger, winner of Germaine de Randamie vs. Aspen Ladd at UFC on ESPN 13. Why they should fight? I watched the video above to see why double champ Nunes should rematch Cyborg, 20-2 MMA, 5-1 UFC, at featherweight to defend against the winner of the UFC on ESPN 13 main event between de Randamie, 8-3 MMA, 5-1 UFC, and Ladd, 8-0 MMA, 3-0 UFC, at bantamweight. Jon Jones should fight winner of Daniel Cormier vs. Stipe Miocic at UFC 241. Why they should fight? I watched the video above to see why Jones should fight the winner of Cormier 22-1 MMA, 11-1 UFC, versus Miocic 18-3 MMA, 11-2 UFC. Next. For complete coverage of UFC 239, check out the UFC results. Amanda Nunes, Aspen Ladd, Chris Cyborg, Daniel Cormier, Dominic Reyes, Jermaine Durandamy, Jan Blachowicz, Jon Jones, Jorge Masvidal, Michael Chiesa, Neil Magny, Stipe Miocic. UFC 239 News, UFC, videos. Let's block ads.